The air shimmered above the scorched red rocks as the sun blazed down over the Mojave Flats. Alan's boots crunched on the dry earth as he scanned the horizon, visor down, pulse rifle holstered, but every nerve in his body primed. The terrain was unforgiving. Cactus spines like spears, jagged stones waiting to snap ankles, and heat waves that played cruel tricks on the eyes. His exosuit whirred quietly with each motion, adjusting to the temperature and pressure fluctuations. Somewhere out here, something had fallen from the sky, and it hadn't been junk. The black streak across the morning sky had been too fast, too silent. Not a missile, not a drone, no human tech moved like that anymore. Alan had rerouted his patrol to investigate, not waiting for command. His instincts had never failed him, and they were screaming now. As he crested a ridge, he saw it. Half buried in a dry riverbed, the downed vessel gleamed under a haze of dust. Sleek, silver-black, adorned with glowing glyphs that pulsed like a heartbeat. Not human. Not anything he recognized from the war logs either. He crouched behind a stone outcrop and zoomed in. Then he saw her, a figure stumbling from the wreckage, dazed. Female. Humanoid. Her skin shimmered in soft pink hues, laced with bioluminescent markings that pulsed faintly beneath the surface. She was barefoot, dressed in odd, torn fabric, shorts and a tank top, barely shielding her from the heat. Her long, silver-white hair clung to her shoulders, and blood, if that glowing fluid could be called that, trailed down her thigh. She looked lost, fragile, dangerous. Alan rose slowly, hands visible, stepping into the open. "Stop. You're injured." She spun, eyes wide and glowing. "Stay back." Her voice rang with unnatural clarity, as though it vibrated in the air more than through it. Alan froze. She backed up, but her legs buckled, and she fell to one knee. Her breathing was shallow. She clutched her side, for cactus needles were embedded deep in her flesh, the tips slick with that radiant fluid. "I'm not here to hurt you," Alan said, voice steady. "But if you don't let me help, you're going to bleed out." She looked at him as if weighing his soul. Her eyes, violet, edged in pale fire, wavered. "You're human," she muttered. "Of course you'd assume I need saving." Alan narrowed his eyes. Not saving, just not dying in a ditch. A long silence passed between them, heat rippling between their bodies. Finally, she grimaced and extended her arm. Her fingers trembled. He crossed the ground quickly, knelt beside her, and began assessing the wounds. The needles were barbed and long. Delicate work. "This is going to hurt," she scoffed, but her breath caught as the first needle came free. Her skin glowed brighter in response to pain, a fascinating detail Alan didn't comment on. "You have a name?" he asked, distracting her as he worked. "Rachel," she said after a pause. "You wouldn't pronounce my true name properly." Alan gave a half-smile. "Rachel's fine. I'm Alan." "I know," she murmured. He blinked. "How?" She looked away. "We study your species. From afar. You're volatile, but tenacious. Sounds about right." He pulled the last barb out, and Rachel gasped, her body swaying forward. Instinctively, Alan caught her. Her skin, though glowing, was feverishly warm, like touching sun-warmed stone. She didn't pull away. "You said I shouldn't assume you need saving," Alan murmured, holding her steady. "But you're lucky I came when I did." Her lips trembled, a flicker of defiance dancing in her expression. "I didn't crash. I landed. And I chose to leave the vessel. Against your kind's advice. There was a signal. One of my people. I had to find them." Alan's jaw tightened. "You left the safe perimeter on a planet you don't know, filled with things that want to kill you. Because of a signal? You didn't even verify it." "It was a distress call," Rachel snapped, pushing away from him, staggering upright. "I don't need your advice." He rose slowly. "You ignored me once already. That's how you ended up like this." Her eyes flared. "You don't get to tell me what choices to make." "I'm trying to keep you alive," Alan said flatly. "That's not control. That's basic survival." She was shaking not just from pain but from something else. Guilt, pride, fear. He recognized all of it. She turned her back to him, arms tight around herself. I've been alone since I got here. The crash scrambled our navigation. I heard my sister's voice, or something that sounded like her. I had to try. Alan's breath caught. That changed things. You didn't know it was a trap. No, she whispered. That signal was synthetic. I analyzed it on approach. It mimicked neural vocal patterns. Someone, or something, wanted you out in the open. Silence. She sank to the ground, tears finally breaking through. They shimmered like crystals down her glowing cheeks. I didn't listen, and now I don't even know if she's still alive. Alan knelt beside her again, softer now. Then let's find out. Together. Rachel looked up at him. Her face, even streaked with pain and failure, was beautiful in a way that transcended human understanding. Like art breathed into life. She blinked. You still want to help me, even after I yelled, even after I failed. He hesitated, then reached out, brushing his fingers just once across her glowing hand. We've all failed someone, Alan said. But you're not alone anymore. The sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting golden light across the broken desert. In the distance, something stirred, movement among the rocks. Alan rose again, hand on his weapon, gaze scanning the shadows. Come on, he said, offering her his hand. Let's get you somewhere safe before whatever sent that fake signal comes back. This time, she didn't hesitate. She took his hand. They found shelter beneath the curved bones of an ancient canyon, where red stone arches blocked the worst of the sun, and the world felt slightly less cruel. Alan had carried her part of the way, refusing to argue about pride when Rachel's knees buckled twice. She'd resisted at first, but her body had limits even if she pretended otherwise. And Alan, for all his stoic silence, had a way of disarming her that she couldn't explain. Inside the shallow cavern, Alan lit a low-powered lantern and checked the perimeter with his motion tracker. Rachel sat on a stone slab, legs crossed, arms folded across her abdomen. Her glow had dimmed since earlier, though it still pulsed faintly beneath her skin like embers under silk. She watched Alan move. Each motion was precise, efficient. He wasn't showy like her people, but there was grace in his restraint. She found herself studying the seams of his armor, the shadows across his jawline, the hard line of his mouth that only softened when he wasn't being watched. I've seen humans before, she said suddenly. Alan glanced over his shoulder. You've studied us. Or met us. Both. She hesitated. From a distance, mostly. Your people are unpredictable. You create chaos and beauty in the same breath. It confuses us. He knelt, unslinging a compact medical pack. And we think your kind is secretive and arrogant. So I guess we're even. She let out a soft, surprised laugh. You're not like I expected. Alan looked up at her, his voice quiet. Neither are you. The moment hung there. Not hostile. Not even tense. Just real. He began treating the remaining wounds with a gentle antiseptic mist. Rachel winced as it stung her skin, then narrowed her eyes. This smells like spoiled fruit. It's aloe with a bioagent. Effective. Tastes worse than it smells though, so don't lick it. She raised a pale brow. Do humans often lick their medicine? Alan didn't smile, but a faint twitch of his mouth gave him away. You'd be surprised what desperation leads to. Her expression softened, the earlier fire dimmed by exhaustion and something else. Gratitude, maybe. She leaned back slightly, giving him better access to her wounds. Her hair shimmered under the lantern light, glowing faintly silver, and for a moment Alan forgot he was supposed to be just a soldier, just the one keeping her alive. You were right, she murmured. About the signal. About not going alone. Alan's hand paused. Doesn't matter now. It does. I was stupid. Prideful. She exhaled slowly. I didn't trust you because you're human, and because I didn't want to feel dependent. He met her gaze. You're not, but being strong doesn't mean refusing help. Sometimes it means knowing who to trust when it counts. Do you trust me? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. He didn't answer immediately. I'm still deciding, he said finally. But you're alive. That's a good start. She looked down, a strange flutter in her chest. That should have stung more. But instead it felt honest, solid. He wasn't coddling her. And somehow, that made her feel more human than she'd felt since her ship had crashed into this inferno of a world. Later, they shared a ration pack. Alan sliced the protein bar in half and handed her the larger piece without comment. Rachel poked at it suspiciously. This smells like rock dust and sadness. That's how you know it's real military food. They both laughed, the sound echoing softly through the canyon. Alan leaned back against the stone, watching the horizon dim as dusk settled in. Rachel sat beside him now, a safe distance apart but close enough to feel her warmth. You ever gonna tell me why you were really here? He asked. She picked at a broken piece of stone. Officially, exploration. My people want to understand Earth. Unofficially, I think they were afraid of you. Alan turned his head slightly. Of me. Of your kind. Of what you could become. You're volatile, remember? He nodded once. You're not wrong. But fear makes people stupid. And curiosity makes us reckless, she added softly. Silence stretched between them again. A rustling sound came from the canyon wall, a cascade of pebbles falling. Alan was on his feet instantly, weapon drawn. Rachel tensed but stayed seated, trusting his reaction. A moment later, a desert fox darted into view, eyes flashing amber before vanishing into the brush. False alarm. Alan exhaled, lowering his gun. We're not alone out here. I know, Rachel said, her voice suddenly distant. He looked at her. What is it? I think whatever sent that signal is still tracking me. Alan moved closer, crouching again. You said it mimicked your sister's voice? She nodded. She died 2 cycles ago. I was there. I felt it. But the signal, it was perfect. Every word, every inflection. It shouldn't have been possible. Alan's brow furrowed. Then it wasn't a trap. It was bait. Rachel met his eyes. For me, or for something else nearby. Either way, we're going to have company soon. She swallowed hard. You should leave. You don't have to stay. He tilted his head. And let you walk into danger again? I told you, I don't want you to feel responsible. It's not about responsibility. His voice was firm now. I made a decision. I'm with you until this ends. One way or another. Her breath hitched. He stood, offering his hand again. She stared at it for a long second, then reached up and took it, her glowing fingers intertwining with his armored ones. The contact was brief, but something changed. Something realigned inside her. Like a compass she hadn't known was broken. That night they didn't sleep much. Not because of fear, though that lurked on the edge of every silence, but because there was too much unspoken between them. Alan stood watch for hours while Rachel leaned against the warm stone wall, her thoughts twisted with memories of her sister, of the crash, of the human who kept refusing to give up on her. When the sky began to shift from black to blue, Alan sat beside her again, this time closer. Rachel didn't move away. You're warm, he said quietly. Is that strange? No, he admitted. It's kind of nice. She tilted her head, her cheek brushing his shoulder. You're the first human who's ever touched me without fear or disgust. He didn't respond right away. Then, you're the first alien who's ever made me care. The morning broke quietly, but the tension between them was loud. Not hostile, not uncertain. Something was coming. But for now they had each other. The sun rose too fast, burning away what little peace the night had offered. Rachel had barely closed her eyes when the first tremor hit, subtle, like a whisper under the ground. She sat bolt upright, her glow flaring instinctively. Alan had already drawn his rifle, scanning the jagged horizon beyond the canyon mouth. I feel it, she whispered, voice tight. Something's moving. Alan nodded. I count 3 heat signatures. Maybe 4. too coordinated for animals. She stood, despite the ache still throbbing in her side. The needles had healed, but the deeper damage lingered. She pressed a hand to her stomach and let out a breath. Then it's come for me. Alan looked at her. Are you going to run again? Her jaw clenched. No, not this time. He gave a short nod. Then we fight. The desert wind picked up, carrying with it a low hum, mechanical, sharp, alien. Rachel's eyes widened. That's not one of ours, she muttered. It's older, corrupted. A shape emerged from the shimmering heat, tall, spindly, its form flickering like a broken hologram. 3 others followed, smaller but faster, crawling along the stone like insects made of wire and bone. Rachel's breath caught in her throat. Void souls, she whispered. Harvested minds. Old explorers who never came back. It reprogrammed them. Alan aimed down his scope. And now it wants you. Rachel didn't respond. She was frozen, staring at the largest of the figures. It flickered again, and when its voice emerged, it sounded exactly like her sister. Rachel. Come home. She staggered back, the voice a knife in her chest. That's not her. Stop using her voice. The creature moved faster. Alan fired first, hitting one of the smaller drones in the joint. Sparks flew. The others hissed and scattered, climbing over rocks with unnatural speed. Rachel snapped out of her daze and lifted her hands. Light burst from her palms, lancing toward the enemies in arcs of plasma-tinted power. But she was still weak. Her hands shook. One of the drones tackled her before she could react. Alan was already on it, slamming into the thing with full force, dragging it off her and smashing its faceplate with the butt of his rifle. Sparks sprayed across the canyon floor. Rachel gasped for air, blood on her lips. I told you not to fight alone? Alan growled, grabbing her hand and pulling her up. She blinked. I didn't want you hurt. He glanced at the deep gouge in his shoulder armor, already leaking coolant. Too late. They turned as the lead creature approached, its head twitching unnaturally, the stolen voice echoing through the stone. You're broken, Rachel. You left her. You failed. She screamed, a sound of rage and heartbreak, and launched herself forward. Alan moved with her. They fought side by side, not speaking, not hesitating. His gun barked while she wielded light and flame like a dancer with death in her hands. But it wasn't enough. The creature caught her wrist mid-strike. Its eyes flared with pale, ghostly fire. Alan shouted, Rachel! She struggled as the memories flooded back. Her sister's last breath, her own cowardice, the guilt she'd buried. I wasn't fast enough, she sobbed. I wasn't strong enough to save her. The creature smiled with her sister's face. Exactly. That's why you belong with us. But before it could force her down, Alan charged. He didn't hesitate. He didn't calculate odds. He just ran, roaring as he tackled the thing away from her. They tumbled down the slope. Alan pinned it, slammed his knife into the gap beneath its throat plate. The creature shrieked. For a moment, its body convulsed, and then Alan screamed. Electric fire arced into him from its core, lifting him off the ground. No! Rachel hurled a spear of raw light, piercing the creature through the heart. It dropped Alan as it burned from the inside, crumpling like ash. She ran to him, skidding to her knees. His armor smoked, his breath shallow. You idiot! She whispered, hands glowing as she pressed them to his chest. Why would you do that? Because... His voice rasped. I care. Because you didn't deserve to die for something that wasn't your fault. She wept then, raw and shaking, the glow of her energy weaving around his ribs, trying to stitch together what remained of him. I should have listened to you, she sobbed. I refused your help because I was afraid. And now you're... He touched her cheek weakly. I'm still here. The other drones lay motionless now, their link severed with the creature's death. Rachel looked at the smoldering ruins, then back at Alan. Her heart thundered. I can heal you, she whispered, but it'll cost me. What kind of cost? A link. A bond. Permanent. Our life threads would be tied. You'd feel me. Always. Alan blinked slowly. Sounds invasive. She smiled through tears. It's sacred to my people. Usually done between mates. He winced as he tried to breathe. You sure? Not just desperation talking. Rachel leaned closer, forehead touching his. I've never been more certain. Not because I have to, because I want to. For a moment, everything paused, the wind, the dust, the ache in her bones. She let her energy pour into him, a soft hum rising in the air around them as her glow wrapped his chest, his spine, his heart. His body jolted once, then relaxed. He opened his eyes slowly. You're warm, he whispered again. She smiled through tears. So are you. They sat in the dirt and blood and broken stone, holding each other as the sun rose higher. The worst was behind them, but the hardest choice was still to come. The horizon bled gold as dusk wrapped the desert in silence. The ship loomed behind them like a sleeping beast, its engines dormant, its promise of escape hovering quietly in the cooling air. Rachel stood at the edge of the ridge, hair lifting gently in the breeze, eyes fixed on the horizon as if she were waiting for something she didn't want to arrive. Alan approached, his footsteps slow but steady. His wounds had closed, but the pain still lingered in the way he moved. It's fixed, he said, nodding back toward the ship. We can leave. She didn't turn around. You can. He frowned. We bonded, Rachel. You saved me. That's not something I just walk away from. She turned to face him, her skin softly pulsing with that ethereal glow he was growing to crave. And because of that bond, I feel what you feel. I know the hesitation in your chest. Alan sighed. It's not hesitation. It's conflict. He looked away for a moment. There's a war coming. Your people, the Void Remnants. This planet isn't safe for you anymore. Her lips trembled. I've lost enough running. If I leave now, that voice, my sister's twisted echo, it'll win. You already beat it. She stepped toward him slowly. I killed the puppet, but the fear it fed on, that still lives inside me. Alan reached out and took her hand. Then let me stay. We fight together. We fix this world. Or we die trying. Rachel looked at him, pain and wonder etched across her face. You'd stay? Give up Earth, your command, your old life, just to stay here in exile. He chuckled. Earth's overrated. All the best stories start in exile anyway. A small laugh escaped her, breathless and teary. You're ridiculous. I'm yours. Silence held for a long time, heavy and honest. Then she said softly, if we stay, we'll be hunted. I'm not afraid of being hunted. There will be more, she added. Stronger than the one we faced. Then we get stronger too. He cupped her cheek, thumb brushing over her luminous skin. You changed me, Rachel. Not just because of the bond, but because of who you are. You stood when you should have fallen. You kept going even when every instinct told you to run. And somehow, in all of it, you made room for someone like me. She leaned into his hand, her voice a whisper. You gave me back the part of myself I buried. Alan smiled. Then let's build something out of the ruins. Something worth staying for. Her lips met his, soft, uncertain, then desperate and real. The kiss carried everything. Grief, hope, the finality of choices made with no way back. When they pulled apart, they were different. Not whole, not healed, but together. They descended the ridge hand in hand, walking toward the battered vessel that had brought them together. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Above them, the stars began to awaken, distant and cold, but beautiful. A new future waited. One neither of them had expected. One earned through fire and blood and the long road of forgiveness. And though the path ahead was uncertain, one truth remained. She had refused his advice. She had paid the price. But in the ashes of that pain, she had found something stronger than survival. Love. And in love, finally, she found the reason to stay.